I wonder what does she have to say?
Hey guys, from Belgium. There's this feminist named Anita Sarkeesian who is very interesting, and she does a lot of feminist critiques on pop culture. And
Dun.
Yeah, and she has a YouTube channel called Feminist Frequency. So for today's video, while we're in Belgium, because I've been showing Colton a lot of them, we're going to critique one of her videos. So we're watching her Oscars and the Bechdel Test video, and we'll respond as necessary. We'll link the video in the doobly-doo. This lady who writes memoirs in comic form, her name is Alison Bechdel. One of her characters was saying how she never goes to see movies if they don't meet 3 criterion, and so those 3 criterion became kind of the standard for what they now call the Bechdel Test, which is sort of a way.
Sorry.
It's a way to measure the femininity. The Bechdel Test is there have to be 2 female characters. They have to have a conversation with each other, and it has to not be about a man. So yeah, so that's it.
I'm sorry.
Men. Okay, let's go.
All right.
So we're on The Descendants first. It's the 2011
It's the
Oscars.
story of a father pulling his family. Moneyball is the story of an American League baseball team centered around their general manager. Even so, it's a surprisingly funny and captivating movie.
Surprisingly.
Okay. There's plenty of movies that don't have characters, like multiracial characters, and we don't sit there and say that, oh, there aren't 2 black characters talking, racist, moving on. Mm-hmm. And so I think that's kind of...
Yeah, the fact that the minority of whatever it is, like be it women, black, Latino, whatever, have to talk to each other, and that's what makes it, not racist or sexist, that's really weird.
I mean, because I can totally understand with the Bechdel test, if there are women characters in the movie, and they do only talk about men and all these things, then I can kind of see where they're coming from. But if there aren't even any female characters in the movie, then I think it's really unfair. The Bechdel test can't even be applied. I think it's kind of unfair, a lot unfair. Not kind of.
All right, next movie is Tree of Life, which
is just a terrible movie in the first place.
So it doesn't matter.
There's a half hour of nature vaginas. Which is, so in that case, I don't care what she says, it should pass the Bechdel test.
Do the vaginas talk to each other?
It failed the test because the only brief scene where 2 women talk, the conversation is about the death of the family's son.
Okay, this is my other thing with the Bechdel, and this is not Anita's fault. Tree of Life fails the Bechdel test because the only time 2 women have a conversation, it's about the death of the family's son, and apparently that's anti-feminist because he's a boy, and therefore, I don't know, patriarchy. What? Why can't they talk about the family son? I would understand if it's a conversation about men, oh my god, that boy was so cute, and if that's the only conversation they're having, then yeah, that's kind of upsetting, if that's all that they ever talk about. But when it's about just a random male character, why is that anti-feminist?
Yeah, I feel as though the Bechdel test should be more specific, and it should be talk more about, if they're only talking about, male characters in a sense of some sort of relationship or some sort of dependence.
Yeah, but also I'm just still annoyed with the fact that it's not just about romantic men talking. It's anytime they talk about a man, even if the man is the main character of the movie, or a kid. If it's a little boy, I don't think that counts as the patriarchy. I really don't. I'm sorry. It's 2013.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
Alright, continue.
Little dialogue in the film as a whole. Hugo is a whimsical film about an orphan boy trying to solve the mystery left by his father.
Hugo.
It's about the little boy. So why would they have conversations that are not pertinent to the little boy's story?
It would make no sense.
Exactly.
To be in a movie.
Exactly.
Hugo.
Right? So I don't understand why that fails. Alright, so now it's extremely loud and incredibly close.
2 women never talk to each other about anything other than the boy. In classic Woody Allen style, Midnight in Paris.
Yeah, and I feel at the point where there are important women characters to provide to the story, that should pass because, women are important. But if the movie's about a kid losing his dad, and they're always talking about the kid, but at least they're there, and it's not just a bunch of dudes, the uncle and the grandpa. The fact that there are women characters that are important enough to the storyline to have discussions, that's good enough, right? Why do women always have to talk about women crap for it to be feminist? Oh, wow.
Oh, okay.
Wow, okay. There it is.
We're third wave feminist, although I wonder if she argues if I could even be a feminist.
No, because you brought up the patriarchy. Now it's Midnight in Paris.
Which is actually a really good movie. I enjoyed it.
They never really, for those of you who aren't
Pause. Okay, this is my other big problem. This is my other problem with the Bechdel test. Here's the thing. Granted, Gertrude Stein might not have talked to another female character, but she was like a total bro. Like, she was talking to all the men, and she was hugely, like, influential in all of their cases, and they respected her as an artist, not as a woman, because who cares if she's a woman? She's respected as an artist. Gil actually gives them his manuscript to her. So how is that anti-feminist? Just because she doesn't talk to another woman? She's a respected member of this artistic society.
Well, she's smarter than everyone else in that
movie. And they recognize that, and that's like a huge part of the movie. That should be more feminist than the possible two female characters talking about furniture.
Yeah,
like, it's more feminist when you stop giving a shit who is a girl and who is a boy.
I would ask for some sort of justification for why it has to be
with another
two women talking to each other. Like, that's my question, because why can't it just be a woman talking to someone about things that are not men? And
I would argue that Return of the King, Lord of the Rings, would pass the Bechdel test, the Bechdel test as it should be, because Éowyn might not talk to another female character, but she kicks more ass than anyone.
She kills the Lich King.
Yeah.
Just throwing it.
No man can slay me. I am no man. That's more feminist than two female characters bullshitting about something.
Yeah. And then Arwen, Water Horses, Fellowship of the Ring.
Yeah, and she didn't even have to talk. No, she was just awesome.
She just was straight up awesome.
Yeah, and I don't think that they should need to talk to another female character to justify their feminism.
In my mind, the whole point of feminism is not, obviously we have to recognize gender, but to equalize in gender, so it's not supposed to be exclusionary, because because every civil rights movement ever, or any sort of empowering movement ever, you can't be exclusionary, because that defeats that goes against your whole point. Mm-hmm. And so the point at which you become exclusionary, where it has to be two women talking to each other about something that's not a man, that's kind of dumb, because you can have a man and woman talking to each other about things that are not a man. And the woman could still be the main character, be the superior in every single way.
Yeah, basically, why does it have to be two women talking to each other? Why can't we just have strong women characters talk to other people? If this video was being regarded by the Bechdel test, it would fail.
Even though we're talking about women's issues.
Mm-hmm. Yep, no, it would fail, because I'm not talking to another woman about them, and
The Help is a women-centered story with a large female cast. There's no doubt that this film passes the test.
So the Bechdel test doesn't allow for women to be women in their own right. They can only be true women in respects to other women. Yeah. That's bullshit.
So basically, I argue the Bechdel test says
is more sexist,
right, because it's
than
saying
anything else.
Women only count if they're together. Mm-hmm. Women have to be. They always have to. Just like when they go to the bathroom, you always have to be there.
And notably, only one film nominated is female-centered. Coming back to Hugo and Midnight in Paris, unfortunately, discussions and debates surrounding the Bechdel test.
We do need more women movies, but
over whether one brief and questionable
this is not the way to
makes
do
the movie pass the test or not. Maybe it's still a really low bar. Why isn't there a test to determine if two men talk to each other about something other than a woman? The answer to that is simple. The test is meant to indicate a problem, and there isn't a problem with a lack of men interacting with one another. The Bechdel test is useful because it can point out an institutional pattern.
That's a dumb question to ask.
And men stories being underrepresented in films.
Yeah, who's asking that question? Probably the same people who ask why there isn't a White History Month.
So that's something other than a white person.
Anyways, we've been filming for half an hour and we have to go to dinner. But this has been our response to Anita Sarkeesian, Feminist Frequencies, Oscars, and the Bechdel test. Final thoughts.
Yeah. Well, I disagree with you. I do appreciate that you are critically thinking about all of these things. I just think that sometimes you go a little too far. But
yeah, and my final thoughts are the Bechdel test is flawed in a lot of ways, and it refuses to see women as their own.
Yeah, it essentially establishes that women are only valuable in pairs.
Yeah, and I think that's a more dangerous assumption to make than any assumptions that a male-dominated movie is making. So, all right,
bye,
thanks for watching.
Bye, Anita.